Rocky Powell from Wild Nights with Rocky Powell.
So what I was beginning to ask you, Rocky, when you were young, back in Connecticut, which came first? Was it the acting bug or was it the comedic bug? Or are they neck and neck with each other?
So I would say definitely acting came first. I think I've always been kind of a funny, silly person, and I come from a funny, silly household. My dad is very, very funny. And we always watch comedies and stand up and things like that. And when I would get cast in roles in high school, I would get cast usually as more silly roles, funny roles. In college, I would do both comedy and drama. But when I graduated, one of the things that I was told was if you're going to be auditioning for commercials, you have to be good at improv. Commercial auditions, they want you to be good at improv. So I was recommended to take classes at the People's Improv Theater. So about, I would say 5 or 6 months after I graduated, January 2011, I started taking improv classes. And then I became consumed with improv. It was at the kind of peak when improv was getting really popular. So I took all my classes back to back at the Pit. Then I went to UCB. I took all their classes back to back and did advanced study there. Then I got placed on a team at the Pit. So I was performing in repertoire every week. And I've just been doing comedy ever since. And then I started to get a little more brave with writing comedy. And so now I would say I do more comedy than acting. But that's simply because of the pandemic that changed the trajectory of acting auditions. But I was acting.
Awesome. And also, I get the reference to the Pit, which is crazy, but I listen to a lot of New York-based podcasts, like Last Podcast on the Left when they all started, and how Murder Fist did the improv scene. I'm like, I've been trying to convince this MFer to take improv classes with me so we can get a little bit sharper and whatnot. But no, it's everyone in this community, or at least podcast community that we've met, everyone is super supportive and 100% down. And it's like, I don't know about you, but I have not felt like this being a part of something since film school. And it was mainly just being with these two guys.
That kind of blends into my next question. Like, what's the best thing about the podcast experience so far? And I guess the other question, part 2 of that, is what's the worst thing you've had to deal with?
Okay, I'd say the best thing is a tie for 2. There's 2 best things. It's been the moments in New York where I've run into people that I've had on the show and met them in real life, because a lot of the comedians that I've met, I haven't met in real life yet. And so seeing somebody who I've had on the show in real life has been great. So that's probably the best part about it, just having that human connection and already having kind of a relationship form. And the positive feedback has been really, anytime there's positive feedback, which you guys know, like anytime there's positive feedback, that does, it's like a little fuel in your gas tank, and you're like, oh, okay.
From you. Yes, that's
no, 100%.
So that feels really good. And the worst thing about it is not having, there's also tied for 2, but it's okay. One of them is just like, I know that I could probably go a lot further if I had more funding and could put more money into it. So aesthetically, I could do, maybe film in a studio in New York and have clips like other people do that are not just my Zoom clips. I know that's all coming, and I just have to be patient with it and keep putting out quality work until then. But that's the worst part, is the financial strains. Yeah. And then the other worst part about it is like when I don't set myself up for success, like on a Wednesday or Thursday when I know I could be editing, and I'm like, I just want to sit on the couch, and then I have to pay for it on Sundays when I'm trying to get the episode out. I went to New Orleans a couple weeks ago, and I feel like I've still been playing catch up since then. And I don't like to go to bed with the episodes not ready on Sunday and wake up on Monday and do it. I don't like doing that. So that's been a little bit of a struggle. And I just, one day I hope to have like a bigger team to delegate things. But right now, sometimes you're like, I want to go out, but I got to make this a priority. Or I want to go get drunk on a Sunday afternoon, but I got to make this a priority. And it's the sacrifices that will pay off in the end. But sometimes it makes me a little like, only miss my Sundays.
It's the whole what is it that I'm gonna age myself by saying the TikToks that can we skip to the good part, and that is like I realize now that dedication, discipline is the biggest key to success, and it's admirable that like I think I'm hard on myself when in reality like Don is. We have the support of each other.
Yeah.
Whereas in like you are self-motivated and you're kicking yourself in the butt to make yourself go along. Whereas like if one of us isn't motivated, two of us will motivate that person and whatnot. Yeah. So it's cheers to you.
Thank you.
Hey babies, you liking the show? Well, thanks. Leave a 5-star rating and a comment, please. Do you want to see the guys' faces? Well, they got YouTube videos. It comes out every Wednesday before the episode comes out on Friday. You can watch this podcast on any major platform you listen to. Rate 5 stars and comment. Thanks, babies.
You kind of mentioned inappropriate, like things that happen to you that you kind of brushed to aside. But in today's age, now that the whole Me Too thing, the movement has happened, Black Lives Matter has happened. Do you find that the climate has changed a little? Has there been a shift?
Oh, I definitely think that so as far as auditioning for stuff like that, like I said, since the pandemic, if any auditions I do, they're all over Zoom or a thing called Blue Jean. So they're all, I haven't done any in-person auditions since 2020. Everything's been digital, but I would say right before the pandemic, there specifically like comedy theaters and stuff, there have been like sexual harassment conversations. I remember one
and that was different. That never happened before this whole thing happened. Okay.
Yeah, and like, there was a lot expected. There was one man in particular who was in charge of an establishment who we had to have a big meeting, like a lot of the performers, and it was because of some Me Too stuff that happened behind the scenes that a lot of people weren't aware of and that some people were aware of. And I remember him saying like the female performers, like if somebody is like Me Too'd or harassed, if a young woman is harassed or a woman is harassed, you can seek out the guidance or turn to a veteran female performer for help. And I remember standing up and being like, I'm not equipped. If somebody tells me, if some person I don't know tells me that my friend of 10 years has done something, has sexually harassed them or done something, and I don't know this person, I'm not equipped to handle something like that. Like, you can't just say because I'm a woman, I need to take the responsibility of somebody. That should be the establishment's role, not 100%. A performer, because I believe all women, of course, that's like hands down, but I'm just saying as a person, I'm not equipped to have a stranger come up to me and tell them that someone I've known for 5 or 10 years has done something to them. That's not my
100%. Yeah, that's not your responsibility whatsoever.
So that was kind of like, I was like, I'm not trained to do that. I have to process my own emotions and so that was like a weird thing that was kind of like placed on some people. And yeah, I definitely think that it's better. Like, we don't want anyone getting sexually harassed or pressured in any way, shape, or form. And up to now, I've been fortunate where that hasn't really been my personal experience, but it's the personal experience of a lot of women. So yeah, I guess I don't know if that answers your question, but
no, it does. And I guess I would also ask, because you mentioned in your own show Wild Nights with Rocky Powell on all major platforms, you give a glimpse of your dating life in your own show, and I was always curious when I listened to your show, like, I wonder if that whole movement has that shifted something in your dating life. Like, I guess what I'm trying to ask is, are guys acting differently when they approach you now, or is it just the same?
Well, I'll tell you the truth. hate dating, and I was always like a really commitment person. I was in a relationship for 4 years, and then I was in a relationship for almost 10 years. So I went into the dating scene later in life, like early 30s, like 29, 30-ish. So I had to I basically only flirted with my boyfriend. Like, I was always charismatic, but I never like went to that next step with guys because I didn't have to, and I never had to date or anything. So dating as an adult, the first person, and maybe you've heard this on the show, the first guy I ever went on a date with was a catfish. Even though he was his real physical self, he lied about who he was. And the first guy I ever went on a date with was super hot. I thought he was going to be my soulmate. I'm biracial. He was biracial. So I was like, oh my God, like, we're the biracial. He called us the biracial wonder twin, or the mixed wonder twins. Like, it was like, I can't believe the first guy I go on a date with is hot, has a great job, is also biracial, and is just like perfect. Turns out he was the con artist. He wasn't gonna get nothing from me because mommy had nothing to give. You know what I mean? If he was looking in this wallet, he was gonna get some dust. But so I was like scarred from that. I was like, okay, great. The first person I go on a date with is a con artist. And then I probably like needed to heal some emotional things. And it's like hard for me to let guys in. So, you know, she hit up therapy and she's like, you know, doing her thing there, or I was, and now I feel like more equipped to date. But I don't ever give guys my real number till probably date, if it makes it, unless I know them. Anybody off a website, they're getting a fake phone number. Yeah. Anybody off a thing is getting a fake phone number until I'm like, oh, okay, here's the deal. There's crazy people out there. Here's my real number.
I just used to give dates that I was on. I gave them the Chili's down the street. Gave them their number.
I love Chili's.
I love Applebee's.
Applebee's is fire too, to be honest.
Thank you.
It's an app. Like, I don't give them like a number of somewhere. They can contact me, but it's not my like real number. So I always give a fake number. Yeah, it's just really hard because you have to online date, and if I want a boyfriend, it is a numbers game. But I don't feel like it. Mm-hmm. And I know I have to, but I just would rather like meet somebody organically. But it feels like a lot of pressure, and I just have to stop letting people make me feel pressured, or like just remember it's my journey.
Exactly. Hey guys, if you like to see us in the flesh, we have video highlights of our episodes we release on every Wednesday before the new episode that comes out Friday. As always, you can catch this podcast on any major platform you listen to podcasts. Please make sure to rate us 5 stars and comment on how you're liking the show. After School Special Podcast.
It's this lady, and she's like, hi, welcome to my vagina.
After School Special Podcast.
What robot pet starts out speaking a unique language, but eventually speaks English? Gloopy? The fuck is a gloopy?
Podcast comes out every Friday.
I assume this situation with Chris Rock and Will Smith, you took the comedian side when it came to that situation where Chris Rock is only doing his job. Chris Rock is a comedian, and really the joke wasn't even funny. It was really a softball type of joke.
It was a softball joke, and I think that it's tough because I don't know his relationship with Will and Jada off screen, because
supposedly they're friends, friendly.
It felt layered.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like a certain kind of comfort when he made that joke, and it felt like there was more to it than maybe we know. Of course, I don't think Will Smith should have done that. Of course not. But of course he shouldn't do that. But also, I'm more angry at the Oscars. How are you going to put the camera on a man? How do you not have that little like screen on standby? How are you going to put the camera on a man who's saying, keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth after he assaults someone? How did
that was pretty ridiculous.
Well, that was edited. It was time delayed for the American audience. It was only the Japan and some other country that
Australia,
that had the unedited version because social media, everything
in America the screen went off.
We were watching this. You probably didn't hear our episode, but we were literally recording our episode because we usually record on Sundays. And we happened to talk about the Oscars, and we saw it live, but we didn't know what was going on. It was edited. It was only when it was only when we looked at our phones and we saw that was real. We was like, wait, this was real? And we saw
in America they didn't show the slap.
They show Will Smith go on stage, and to my knowledge, they did show the smack, but they didn't show him saying, keep my wife's name out your mouth. They didn't show that. So to us, it looked like it was staged and it was a joke. And then
I didn't watch it live.
It was like, wow. I think in the moment, I was like, wow, he must have really offended Will Smith. I wasn't on his side. My opinion was go to him backstage. If shit happens, shit happens, but it's not on camera.
I think if he was going to come step to him, he should have done it off camera. If you're going to step to somebody and be violent, I don't agree with it, but I also think he shouldn't have done that shit on stage.
This is what we can't speak on. If you're Jada Pinkett. Jesus Christ.
Sweet Jesus.
Every episode, Rocky. Like, Anyway, if you're Jada Pinkett and you are dealing with that, as an actress, I can't speak to that. I mean, it's all in that realm. You have to maintain a certain level of looks or whatever. I don't know. So she was insecure about that apparently, and Will Smith in his head seems like he was avenging her or whatever. I don't know. I'm making it sound like a Marvel movie, but I'm getting around to, if you're Jada Pinkett in that situation, you might not be applauding him, but are you at least understanding, or are you like, what do you do there?
Yeah, I'm understanding. I'm in the spotlight. Like, listen, but also, there's the added layer that Chris Rock had made the movie about Black women's hair.
Yes, he did.
And then, he's going after her hair and appearance. It was a cheap joke. I just think that is the cost of being in the entertainment industry. People are going to make fun of you. I think it was a cheap joke on Chris Rock's part, but also you don't know what's going to come off your tongue sometimes, and you say things, and I think it was cheap, but I think what Will Smith did was horrible. He assaulted Chris Rock, and he tarnished Chris Rock's legacy and his own legacy forever.
As a comedian, if someone came on stage when you maybe told a joke like that, or maybe like a joke that someone didn't like, what would you do? Like,
if I got assaulted on stage?
No, I don't want to say assaulted, but I want to say somebody just like disagree with that joke. Do you? Because I thought comedians, if that happens, it's like they go harder at that person, and I thought Chris Rock, he showed restraint because he could have went harder on that situation.
Eviscerated him. He could have eviscerated him, but he was probably like, number one, in shock. No one, you couldn't write that moment. No one could even write that moment. That was something on a Black Mirror.
Yep. You could see his eyes. Like he was like trying to calculate his next move. He just got slapped as someone that just went through a traumatic experience. Yeah.
First of all, Chris Rock, they just said, there was an interview with him that says he's neurodiverse. He deals with some socially awkward issues. And he came out saying that, like, he doesn't pick up on social cues. And I didn't know that about him until after the slap. But apparently that was released a couple of years ago. And he said, like, yeah, I'm a little neurodiverse. I don't pick up on social cues in this way that normal, like, not normal, but somebody who is not neurodiverse would. So I learned that about him. I also think he's much smaller. He's
5'10".
Will Smith, Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? He's Muhammad Ali. He's Hancock. He's a literal living superhero. And he's somebody, you know what I mean? And he trains like he's going to be in Muhammad Ali too. So I think that even though it was a bitch slap, I can't imagine it felt good. Chris Rock took it like a kid from Brooklyn. But I can't imagine it felt good. And I don't know if he could exactly square. I don't know if Chris Rock is in the gym squaring up the way Will Smith, you know what I mean?
The fact that it was such a soft joke too, and that's why I think a lot of comedians went up in arms in regards to it.
As they should.
My whole thing is, and we were talking before with other comedians like Dave Chappelle, are you able to separate the art from the artist? Because I know a lot, like nowadays, a lot of people aren't capable of doing that.
Can I add on to that?
We've had this. Yeah, go ahead. We've had this discussion before, specifically, I think our comedian episode.
One of my favorite artists, and Aaron knows this, Dave Grohl, he heard from someone, I can't think of his name, but he said that the artist is always right. And that always stuck with me. And I think what he meant was whenever you start an endeavor, podcast, acting, whatever it is, the artist is always right. So I'm asking you, like, do you think that pertains to comedy, even with Dave Chappelle, even though I don't technically think what he's saying is always right, but technically I do believe comedy is an art form.
Yeah, it's a self-expression. Look, we live in a country that says freedom of speech, freedom of speech, freedom of speech, while they're simultaneously stripping people of their rights, and not all citizens have equal rights.
Yeah,
we're simultaneously saying don't touch our guns, but women's reproductive rights are being slipped away right under our eyes, or noses, I should say. So it's like America is a walking
contradiction.
America is a walking contradiction when we really should be more, free. We have the opportunity to be more free, but unfortunately can't be as free as you'd like under a capitalist nation. It's actually Dave Chappelle's mentor. His name is Tony Woods. Have you ever heard of him?
No.
If you watch Tiffany Haddish's second season of They Ready, Tony Woods, I cannot recommend his episode enough. He's a mentor to a lot of people in the comedy community. Tony Woods says the international symbol for comedy is a banana peel, right? You see a banana peel, comedy's coming. For the banana peel to be funny, somebody's got to slip on it.
Yep.
Somebody's always going to get hurt, and punching down is never good, and that's what a lot of comedians, some people make their living punching down, but it's never going to. You can punch down as much as you want, it's never going to get you to the top. It's going to make people, especially in an evolving world, it's going to make people tune out more and more.
Yeah.
Personally, I think Dave Chappelle probably has a lot more good things to say, and a lot I can still learn from him, and a lot of people can learn from him. But I'm hoping that his journey is to evolve, where he stops making this a battle between him and the trans community, because then it makes it harder. If I say I'm the kind of person who believes everyone should have every right, everyone should be who they want to be when they wake up every morning, and we shouldn't be so involved in our neighbor's business. If I'm the kind of person who truly believes that at my core, if a person keeps proving that they're going in that direction, why would I keep supporting them? So I'm hoping that he takes a better stand, and I'm hoping that we can all take less, I don't even want to say hateful, I say harmful stances, and move towards evolution. But I'd be lying if I said Ignition isn't on some of my playlists still, where I'm like, oh shit, I gotta take this off the playlist. Yeah,
race in general, gender, it's all complicated stuff. But like I said, I'm a white straight male. I have no opinion right now.
Get the fuck out of here.
Hey everyone, it's Aaron from After School Special Podcast. Like what you hear so far? But don't forget to subscribe and download the show on whatever platform you get your podcasts. And just a friendly reminder, we have new episodes out every Friday. Thanks for listening, everyone. It's the whole, what is it, that, I'm going to age myself by saying the TikToks that can we skip to the good part